Hey, welcome back. Well, our anime season is continuing throughout the holiday season. Today we have another Bandai sponsored review. Last week we took a look at their Dragon Stars line, and that focuses exclusively on Dragon Ball characters. So this week we're taking a look at the Anime Heroes line. So we have two properties we're going to show you. One's going to be Naruto, and the other one is Saint Seiya. So let's get a look at these boxes to see how they kind of are similar to the Dragon Stars line and what's not. Starting with Hatake here. We see a very similar design. This one just features some Japanese writing on the side, and then of course your character in anime style in the front, but then very similar to the Dragon Stars line in the back. We're just seeing the rest of the characters in a wave. So not much of a divergence there on the box work, and same for Virgo here. Anime picture on the front, we see the writing on the side, and then of course the characters in the wave on the back. So very similar style and design to the Dragon Stars counterpart, and the boxes are roughly the same size as well, as you can see behind me. So everything's pretty similar in this wave, or this line. This is just focusing on more properties than we saw on the Dragon Ball or the Dragon Stars line, which is exclusively Dragon Ball. So why don't we crack into these guys and check them out. So we'll start with the ninja from Leaf Village here. Very similar to how the other ones were sealed, just a couple plastic flaps on the top. Easy to open these things. And then we take them out here. And you can see, just like the Dragon Stars line, they're going to have different hands here for different poses. And this one actually features a little energy effect, so that's great. We didn't see those in the Dragon Stars line. And it just depends on which character you're getting in that line, or which version. So this is pretty neat, this little energy effect. I don't see a specific way to put it in a hand. There's no hole or anything, so I guess you kind of just could put his fist in the middle of it. We'll try that out in a second. But take a look at the character here. And very similar in style and function to the Dragon Stars line. We get you a close-up here. These guys also feature 16 points of articulation, so the same movement in the double-jointed knees, in the double-jointed elbows, great movement in the shoulders and the wrists and the head. So all that articulation, the hips move the same way, so just basically designed the same as the Dragon Stars line. But you can see really tight paint applications that we saw in that line are also here. If you look at the jacket, the emblem on the back is not bleeding over. That pouch is really tightly painted. There's no bleed over on any of those. So really nice paint applications, really great color depth here, really great molding on the face. Still has that nice anime look to the character, which you really want to capture, all the way down to the toes and the sandals he's wearing. So taking a look at the rest of his accessories, we see he comes with some sort of holding hands here. They're not fists. We see these defined in other characters as weapon holding hands. In this case, he doesn't really come with a weapon. And then he has a couple of open hand grips here, and then some saluting hands, so you could mix up the character here. We're going to try our wrist or our hand test that we do on every figure. We always do that little twist as we do a pull here. This one came off very similar to the Dragon Stars line. We'll try a fist here to see if we get it with the blast effect. And just a simple jointed peg here that has some articulation in it for the wrist. And we'll try a little pressure and see if this goes on easy. So this one's a little trickier than we had on the Dragon Stars. And that could always be the case when you're working in any new character's hands the first time. They could always be a little sticky, or just a little difficult until you wear them in. But once you get them on there, after a couple times, they can tend to be a little easier. This one got on with just a little bit of pressure, getting an angle on it. So a little trickier than the Dragon Stars, but it's hit or miss sometimes until you wear in the joints. So I think if you just kind of put his hand in the middle of this effect, you could get it to stick on his arm this way. As there is no point or entry to put a fist inside of it, so you can get a effect like this of him using an energy attack here. You could always make him grab it as well, but it would have been useful if they had sort of an indentation or even just a little hole if you wanted to connect the one finger hand to it, but I don't see that here. You just kind of have to maneuver your way into it to get the illusion of him making this strike here. So that's I think it still works. I think it still looks great. Great design to the character, great articulation again that we've seen in Bandai's lines. It seems to continue throughout. They're all kind of engineered the same way. So you get those characters where you can achieve a lot of great stances, a lot of anime. There's a lot of poses. So taking a look at Virgo over here, and this one again, similar to the other in terms of how it's sealed and how it opens. So nothing changes from character to character. This guy doesn't include any other weapons or anything, just the character and a couple of additional hands. But this one you can see up close here. Really great design work on that armor, giving it a really reflective, shiny tone to it. Even though it's plastic, it's not die-cast or anything like that, but it has a really nice coloring. I think they did a great job on that. You can see, again, those really tight paint applications, the little gem on the front there, and the pants along the contrasting with the gold armor. There's no bleed over. The hair was a nice mold on there, particularly around the face. With those individual strands. And this armor is kind of layered on there. It's not all one molded piece, which I think is cool because it gives that illusion of depth, even though it's there's not much beyond what you see there. So that's kind of neat how they did that layering effect. But again, the additional accessories that this character comes with are just a pair of fists, which seems to be usually a default in most characters we see. It's either open hands or closed hands. So you can do a variety of poses or a variety of attacks with the character, given the similar 18 points of articulation on this one. So we'll do the wrist test again. This one came off super easy, and we'll see this one go back on. Sometimes it's just getting an angle on them, and the little piece moves back and forth. It's hard to get a pressure point to get pushies on, and I hate struggling with them, but yeah, this one's a little tougher than the Dragon Stars line, definitely. And I think it varies from character to character or just sample to sample. It popped in there. So a little bit difficulty, but again, you just need to get a good angle on it to push it in and out. So we were able to get it, but as you saw before too, you can see that these are the gloves, so you can see the fingers, nice paint application there as well. I just think that's worth noting. And you can get good posability out of these guys as well. I mean, they're very expressive in anime in their posing, and I think you need to capture that. It's a little restrictive when you're working with this armor here though, because you can only get the legs so high, but I think that's all right. You can still get a good movement on it. I mean, if you wanted to, I guess you could separate them at the hip and probably remove this bottom piece, but then I think that just detracts from the look of the design of the figure, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. But if you wanted to, it's an option because it's just a ball jointed hip, so it would be easy to pop in and out, really, if you wanted to get a little bit more movement out of the legs. But I think you get a good range of motion here, and you could do a variety of stances and a variety of poses. We'll show you up close a little bit with a couple of different hands just to give you a sense of what kind of movement you can achieve. There we go, just a simple fighting pose. Used an open hand. I think it grips the little energy effect a little better. You can see he can get in a variety of different stances here, so it's easy to get him deep in the legs. And just as easily he could bounce back for a vertical pose. And yes, those hands did get easier to put on the more we used them after they got a little initial wear on them. And with Virgo here, you can see that great articulation that allows you to get those arms in really tight, so you can get some close poses with some open hands. And you can get an even nice combination pose of the closed and open hands. But just these two sets of hands, so your variety is kind of limited to the two, but I think there's a lot of expression you can get out of these hands. So that's it. I don't want to go too long on this because we've shown you basically what they could do, all that articulation on there. that great paint applications, that great design, this great center of gravity, so they're really easy to balance, they're sturdy, you don't need any stands. It wouldn't matter if you did because there's no footholds anyway, but they're easy to balance. You don't really need to put too much effort in it to get them to stand up on their own. You get a lot of those different stances. The hands were a little bit of a struggle, but I think that's going to vary from sample to sample because the Dragon Ball hands were very easy and those are pretty much the same design, so I think it's just hit or miss on what you get. But it really depends on what you're really using them for, posing versus using them in different action sequences or just display. But they weren't too hard if you get the right angle on them. So these guys will be available in the next month. You can get them at a lot of retailers. They'll be at Best Buy, they'll be at Target. You could also order them from Amazon. They'll be on fan channels. We'll have some links up for you if you want to get these guys. We'll have a link to Bandai as well if you want to check out other characters in the line, or if you just want to see what else that's offered. They have a lot of different characters from different shows, and they're different lines and the sublines, so definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of anime. There's also stuff from Studio Ghibli on there if you're a fan of Studio Ghibli, so worth checking out as well. That's all for now. We're going to have more next week. We'll be looking at the world of Gundam, so if you're a fan of Gundams, tune back in for that episode. That will we'll show you some classic ones as well in that, as you can see behind me there. So yeah, check these out. Definitely check out Bandai for more. Like, subscribe, and follow our channel for more in Anime Month, and we have some other surprises in store for you as well. So until next time, take care, and we'll see you guys soon.